Fedoseev.
Thank you, Anna. Well, let's start with that then. Do you have any idea what's going on in the game between Wojciech and Kovalev?
No, I was hoping they would say something intelligent, but I don't think they managed. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about you instead, and I think we have a tweet prepared because it's been an eventful few days for you. I think your book has just come out, Mind Master. There we have it. That's the book cover. You also tweeted about it a couple of days ago. I don't know if we'll see that, or maybe it was just earlier today or yesterday, but in any case it's now available to buy on Amazon. Tell us about it. I think it's the first project of this kind you have been involved with.
Yes. Well, I don't let's put it this way. The idea was to take a lot of stories from my career and my life, my experiences, and try to draw on that without being too professorial. So I basically share how what kind of problems I face basically at the board, and how I've tried to ensure that my mind is in the right place, because you need to be in the right frame of mind, you need to be thinking clearly, and how we cope with that. I hope it's received well.
How long have you been working on the project?
Well, it's been going in bits and pieces, but at least for 1 year we've been really stepping on the gas.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting my own copy, and so should you. Now let's move to your game today. A big win, especially given the tournament situation, against Vladimir Fedoseev. It looked like the position was very pleasant, even advantageous out of the opening. Then things got a bit more murky again.
Yeah, no, first of all, I didn't understand why he did this without any provocation. And then I tried to figure out if I could castle long, because normally it's desirable for white to allow knight d3, cd3 and put a rook on c1.
So you're saying you'd be happy here?
I would be happy with this, and if the knight has to go back, that makes no sense. But in general, I had difficulty making very clear choices. I mean, I finally just gave up and decided to go short. He went bishop d7 here, and here I saw his hand flicker, and even seeing the approximate area it was, I simply could not understand what is the point of queen c6. It's just very provocative. And here,
provocative or bad?
Well, that's the question. I think it should be punished clearly, but somehow at the board I was having difficulty nailing that one down. So probably I can just start with g4. What I wasn't completely sure of was what happens here. And then I wanted to play bishop d4, and I thought he could go e5. And it feels very promising, but I couldn't quite nail it, because if well, in either order, knight d5, e d4, rook c1, and queen a4, and somehow, and I was also spending time calculating all this. Then I suddenly realized I could start in the other order, and then h5 now it doesn't work well, because knight d5 is threatening a fork. And
c7.
Yes, and again I feel that I should be better. Perhaps d5 was just good. I was worried about bishop c4.
You're saying d5 here.
And then probably has to play bishop c4, because otherwise I'm piling out the pressure on e6. And if knight d4, he has knight c5. But later I realized I could go knight d2 here. So I'm guessing that this is just better for white now. But after this, bishop d8, I mean, there's so many attractive continuations, but at the same time, for white, there are long-term consequences of having a loose king. Anyway, at some point, I decided that as long as his knight is stuck on f8, he can't make use of the f file. d5, e5, h4, which is straightforward, because I want to play h5 before he can get his knight to g6. And here I just play this incredibly bad move, h5. I simply blundered So maybe I should read my book again. I simply blundered that rook h1, bishop e3, king e3. He just has bishop c2. And this queen is coming to d3. For somebody, because otherwise g6 is almost winning. And here I realized that I mean, h5 is ridiculous because I have massive space advantage. So I can just play knight d1 like in the game, swap the rooks, and just be better in the end game. Whether it's winning, I don't know.
How do you deal over the board when you realize, you know, that you've gone wrong?
Well, in this case, I quickly saw queen h3 leading to a forced draw, and I thought I'm just going to take the draw. I've had enough of this game. But he had to play knight g6 to take the draw. But I think he got ambitious.
So you were just going to go for perpetual?
Well, I mean, a guy who misses queen h5, bishop b6, and then something, well, you also get your hopes up. But he should, and I'm just going to give a perpetual here. But after this, suddenly I have quite a few continuations. Also, knight a2 is tempting here. Just
knight a2? Yeah,
just to throw that in.
Okay.
And if he goes, well, if he allows knight b4, clearly I'm harassing the bishop. And if he goes bishop a5, then I go b4. Bishop b6, and now rook c3, and I thought I'm just can be better. Also here I could go bishop takes b6, queen b6, queen e3, and this is now I think this is a sort of nice ending, but still there'll be some knight g4 ideas. But rook c3 is nice because if bishop b6, can I take on b6? Maybe even this is not that clear. But there was also knight b4 simply. And if bishop b4, a b4, and for the moment my bishop now has nothing threatening it, and it feels like white should still be better here because I'll either go to c7 or I'll go to c8. But somehow in the end I decided on knight d1. And here I initially thought that I'm better here, king takes d1, and he also thought so, but after bishop takes b6, he has queen b6, and I couldn't see a clear way forward because his pieces are also active. Maybe here queen d7 works. Because if he gives a check, king c2, he doesn't have rook c8. Yeah, and maybe, but it was too complicated. I was also running out of time, and so I just went with the flow. He went bishop d4. Probably I could take on d4 and then go knight f2. There's no real harm in this. Because what I did, I later realized he had one last chance, which is to do this. But it's not easy to play a bishop to d4 and then take on e3 in the very next move. But bishop h5. And now if I go rook c7, knight f4, I have difficulty liberating my queen because of queen e2 mate. So instead of rook c2, I thought this is maybe an idea just to try to play an ending. The problem for me is knight h1 doesn't work because knight f4 threatens knight g2 check and knight d3 check. So this is quite bad.
Good, yeah.
But knight f1 is possible. Anyway, it's a very difficult position. I'm not going to pretend I saw very much. But here now it's basically over.
So the mistake was, where was black's final
I guess the last mistake, but of course on move 31 I should have taken on d4. But the last mistake was rook e7 because I think after rook c8 it's just lost. There is one nice trick here which we both initially saw the wrong line. Knight f6 check, king h8, and now we both thought queen h6, queen g3, king e2 is winning. But then suddenly later we realized that d3 check, and now I cannot go to d1 because of queen g1. But it seems that this is winning. d6, king g7, and now both knight f3 and d7 is also winning because of knight d7 I have rook g8 mate.
Very nice. Let's just put that on the board for the viewers.
Yeah.
Always nice to have a checkmate on the board.
Yeah. So but here he's just busted. So g8 and now it's just resigns. Rook f4. Well, queen e6 is simple, so why not just play it and get it over with? So.
Very nice. Vishy, a crazy game indeed, as you've just demonstrated. It wasn't the only crazy moment in the playing hall today. I guess you were aware, or at least you saw from the corner of your eye, what happened in the Karyakin and Shirov games. What did you think of that?
Actually, what happened to Shirov?
I don't know what. How did Shirov do? Still playing.
Because they took them away to another room.
So they were moved to the second playing hall, Shirov, but for the players' own good, just so they wouldn't get nervous. And but there was no suspicion of any foul play.
No, that wasn't what I was saying. But yeah.
The arbiters made a decision to move the players apart.
I would think it's nicer to have someone to copy, but anyway. But the funny thing is, Shirov had this once before. He was black against, I think, Hracek in the Bundesliga, and I was white with McShane, and we had the same position. So it was this. It's the second time already that Alexei is in the exact same situation. Well, it's a nice coincidence.
What had happened back then in that Bundesliga moment?
Well, I won and Alexei won, so it was very good for Baden, but it was strange because at some point we were wondering when there was going to be a deviation. So.
Great. Well, Vishy, it's always a pleasure having you here. Congratulations with your victory, also with the publication of the book one more time. Maybe we can show it one more time. It's available on Amazon now, so get your hands on it. Thank you very much for your time, your thoughts, and best of luck for tomorrow, Vishy.
Thanks.
Thanks very much, Fiona and Vishy. Actually, Vishy, just one question about the book. You say it's kind of anecdotes, and you're drawing sort of lessons from those. But are there actually chess games featured?
No. So I take like a position or a critical moment, and I explain, what's going through my head and what are the problems that I faced and how I try to cope. But we did try and put in some diagrams for it to be helpful, but it's intended for a general audience.
Right.
So there's no chess material.
Yeah.
But there is a diagram which hopefully even a non-chess player will be able to at least see, okay, he's talking of this move or that move.
Yeah.
And so there'll be diagrams in the book.
But it's not actually released now. What's the actual release date?
I think by 50th, so 11th
okay,
December.
11th of December.
Yeah.
All right, but we can pre-order.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, congratulations anyway on your victory today. Very nice stuff.
Thanks.
Congratulations to Viswanathan, and we shall check what's going on in Alexei Shirov's